Now available on Tata Sky channel number 526.
Hello and welcome to the Property News here on Magic Bricks, now India's first property business channel. I'm Krishna Kumar. Let's take a look at the top stories that we're tracking.
1st May, I am going to notify the Real Estate Development Regulation Bill.
Big bang, exclusive one. The centre is set to notify the Real Estate Regulator Bill on the 1st of May. The government reiterates its support for home buyers' rights, says it will roll out RERA nationwide at the earliest.
They have to fall in line, otherwise they will be taken to task.
Big bang exclusive 2. Home buyers' protests against project delays finally gets the centre's attention. The Urban Development Minister cracks the whip, says errant builders will face action if they don't deliver what was promised. And Unitech's managing directors Ajay Chandra and Sanjay Chandra face a 3-year jail term over project delays. The sentence comes after the company defied the Chandigarh State Forum's orders to compensate buyers in its project Uni World Homes. And let's kick things off with our Big Bang exclusive 1. The real estate regulator is on track. Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu confirmed to Magic Bricks now that RERA will be notified on the 1st of May, reiterating the centre's commitment to home buyers' rights. The minister said that the government will roll out RERA nationwide at the earliest, and there is more news. Our campaign with you, the home buyers against project delays, has also got the centre's attention, and that is our exclusive part 2. The Urban Development Minister says the centre is committed to taking tough action against errant builders, and he also says that the builders must deliver what was promised. Our correspondent Deepa Rana caught up with Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu. Listen to that conversation.
They have to fall in line, otherwise they will be taken to task. 1st May, I am going to notify the Real Estate Development Regulation Bill. The moment the notification is done, everybody will come under the purview of that. So they have to fall in line and fulfill the promises they have made.
So what about the local corruption that is happening, sir?
Local corruption has to be dealt locally. You see, nationally we can only give guidelines, and then ease of doing business is for the purpose of eradication of the corruption. And thirdly, as I told you, there will be agencies in every state, there will be authorities also. They will be taking care of all the complaints. Yeah, to start with, Delhi and Mumbai will go online from 2nd October 2016. You have to do a lot of work, but that's why this workshop also is happening. Application online, sanction online, no man-to-man contact.
So this local construction workshop will help the real estate sector?
Definitely it will help the real estate sector, construction sector, because the construction permit is the most important thing.
Now, as viewers would know, home buyers across the country are protesting against project delays. News that RERA will be notified on the 1st of May is sure to bring cheer. But will this put an end to the spectre of project delays? I'm joined now by Magic Bricks Now's editor, Faye D'Souza, who will break this down for us. Faye, justice is served, isn't it?
Well, Krishna, obviously we were waiting for this, and one of the concerns that we heard about and what was taking so long, because the bill was cleared by both houses of parliament, which is the last time you and I celebrated. It's taking some time because the secretaries of the ministries have to get together and work out the rules that will actually form the act, that will actually form the rules that everybody has to follow. And that's what's taking time. From what we understand, on the 1st of May, the entire act will not be notified. A portion of it will be notified. And this is common practice. Sections of the act will be notified. And from what we understand, these are the sections that will come in. The section that actually lists out all of the definitions. The important portions here are carpet area, things like what is occupation certificate. All of those definitions are in one particular section. That section is likely to be gazetted. Also, the gazetted portions will bring in the actual regulator and specify who the regulator has to be, what the qualifications have to be. how the state government has to set up the regulator, the appellate tribunal, the adjudicating officer. These are very three key things that would possibly be gazetted. The idea, I think, here is for state governments to start working on setting up their respective regulators and not have to wait for the entire act to come in. This is definitely a good thing, because at least then we'll see some action on the ground, because as we've had conversations over the last couple of months, there's a lot of work between actually, the act being gazetted and finding the members of the regulator, setting up an office, finding the funding, putting all of that in place. That takes time and effort. And from this, what we understand, the central government is going to ask state governments to at least start working on setting up the regulator. And the actual rules might take a little longer than that.
Faye, all said and done, we're still talking about it today because May 1st is not very far away. And this comes at a time when we've been headlining one project delay after another, one builder being, coming under the long arm of the law or the other. Sure. All said and done, what do you think, as sentiment-wise, at least will, this provide that turning point as far as sentiment is concerned in the market?
Well, definitely having a market that's regulated at all, Krishna, is a really, really big move from a home buyer's point of view. It will change a lot of things from the industry point of view. In terms of sentiment, it's fantastic. Also, see, it's true that a lot of the rules that we were looking at, the escrow account, things like that will not happen possibly on the 1st of May. That's what our sources are telling us. It's likely to take longer. But the fact that portions of it will move on the 1st of May, state governments will start setting up their regulators, start setting up their appellate tribunals. That's heartening for home buyers. This is a good sign. It means that the government is pushing. It means that the government is on a war footing with this particular bill. And as a home buyer, it makes me happy.
War footing is the word that came to my mind as well. Faye, thank you so much. We do have a very important gentleman joining us now to understand what this means better. First up, I'm going to start off with Mr. Parimal K Shroff, advocate and solicitor. Parimal, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us over here. The RERA will be notified on the 1st of May. But tell us, what is the way going forward from here on?
I personally think that it's a welcome situation. RERA was in the air for quite a time, but now it is coming up on 1st of May, but there is a little sting in the tail that the whole act is not coming into force, but it is going to be in parts. And that's what Section 1 of the act provides for, that it can come partially also, and different dates can be provided for different sections. But now the question is that this act is a composite act. You will have to have the authority, you will have to have the rules, you will have to have the procedure for registration of project and the real estate agents and the promoters, and you will have to have the form of the agreement to be entered into. Now, this particular part is extremely important, and you can't have the breaking in of this particular act and give impartially that to come into force. Because merely giving definitions into operation but not bringing the rest of the act will be very, very skewed proposition. And so far as Maharashtra is concerned, the most important part is that there is the Maharashtra Housing Regulation and Development Act 2012, which is to be repealed. And this act has to really replace it. That's also an important position which we have to look at.
Mr. Shroff, this is Faye D'Souza. Thank you for joining us on the phone. I just want to tell you what my sources are telling me about the gazetting notification of the bill. What you said, the agents, the promoters, the agreement, the registration, all of that is likely to be left out for now. But interestingly enough, we do know that sections 81 to 92 is likely to be notified. And what this means is two things. One, it gives the regulator the ability to set up rules of their own. Two, it repeals the Maharashtra Housing Act as of the 1st of May 2016. So now that you know that, and this is what my sources are telling me, what's your reaction now to the information that we have?
No, very, very peculiar, because I'll tell you something, not wasting time on this, but if the section 81 to 92 are the rule-making powers of the appropriate government, whether central government, state government, union territory, they will have to make the rules. But you make the rules only for the purpose of enforcement of the act. Now, if you are going to only bring in section 2 the definitions, and if you are not going to bring in the rest of the sections, and if you are not going to have a time-bound program for that, then merely making rules may be a little far-fetched, because then we will not be able to achieve the purpose for which this act is enacted. But I'm sure that there will be some sort of a timetable or some schedule with the union government must be having in its mind.
Right.
And it will specify and provide for the time for the states to get, I would say, ready for it, and then to enact those rules and regulations and bring them forward.
Right. I want to bring in Rohit Gera, who joins us on the phone line as well. So does Pankaj Kapoor. Rohit, thank you for joining us. If, from what we understand, the Act or portions of the Act are gazetted on the 1st of May, especially in Maharashtra, that's Maharashtra Day, is industry ready, Rohit? From what you understand, you do a lot of work with CREDAI, your Vice President in Pune. Is industry ready for a regulator?
I don't think the industry has any choice. In fact, if you ask me, I think it's a good thing that's happened. The sooner the better. There is currently the mood against the developers, even those who are doing good work. The pendulum is so far on the other side because of a few bad apples, or many bad apples, depending how you look at it, is that it's about time that the response to everybody is, look, there's a regulator in place, and now the law can take its own course. So all in all, I think it's a good move. It's a step in the right direction. If, from what you say, that the authority will have to be formed immediately, in that case it's Section 20, in that it says that the state has 1 year to set up the authority, but also that the state is required to appoint an interim authority equivalent to the housing secretary of that state, and that person is to be announced right away. And if indeed we're talking about the authority being formed, then the authority also has the right and the responsibility to handle complaints from customers. So I really wonder whether, one is the industry, but I wonder whether those state-level authorities will be ready to handle the deluge of complaints that might come their way.
You know, Rohit, that's a good point. Then I'm going to take that question over to Mr. Shroff. Mr. Shroff, also the appellate tribunals, which is section 41 to 58, if that's notified as well on the 1st of May, those benches will need to be staffed. And given given the evidence in consumer court, are the states ready to staff brand new courts on real estate?
I don't think that is going to happen so soon. Actually speaking, the industry has to get ready. I believe the industry is almost getting ready for it, and everybody is awaiting, and this was to be notified. But the question is that this requires a robust rules and regulations, and as rightly pointed out, we require the RERA authority because it has a judicial, administrative, and general powers, and we require also the appellate authority in place. But I believe that the states will have to really start working on that, provide for place, provide for appointments, selecting the right personnel. All that will have to be gone into, and probably this phase-wise introduction of the Act is for the governments to get ready with and to get their act together. And I think that's the real purpose of this deferred implementation of this Act.
Right, giving the governments time to get their act together and actually prepare for the big bill. Pankaj Kapoor also joins us on the phone line. Pankaj, what do you expect will be the immediate impact on industry when the bill is, or when the Act is notified, even if it's done so in parts, on the 1st of May?
You know, my own sense is that this is going to take probably one more full year for the Act to really come into force in the full phase. So during this particular period, I do not see there's going to be too much of things which is going to be changing. People may be talking about the prices may go up and things like it, but my own sense is the current prices are not selling. In the last 2 years, there has not been any increase in the prices because customer demand itself is not there. I do not see there's too much of a scope available for the developer. Having said that, what I am seeing the changes happening in the market is that the people who have the past backlog and they don't want to fall under the preview of the RERA, because every under construction property, if the Act comes into the force, will fall under the preview of it. So a lot of developers who earlier did not finish their projects and there were delays, they would try to really finish it off their project so that they can escape the rules and regulations of the RERA. So it may spur the construction activities, and I'm seeing some sense which is there. There may be a going on that the developer are cash staffed and all those things, but I'm seeing quarter on quarter, last 3 or 4 quarters at all India level, the floor space construction has really shown a growth.
Okay, that's interesting. I just want to bring in Rohit Gera on that one. Rohit, do you believe that there will be faster construction to avoid the net of a new regulator in the next 1 year for those buildings that are closer to completion at least?
Well, I certainly think that it just makes business sense and it makes logical sense to do that. So of course, those who are in the position to expedite their construction would do so. It's just good business sense. So yes, it will have its effect. It will have the outcome of speeding things up. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, last question to Mr. Shroff. Which state do you believe is likely to have a regulator, ready fastest? Is it going to be Maharashtra? We know Maharashtra had begun working on their regulator and their rules far before the centre passed it, got it past Rajya Sabha. Which state do you think is the most ready at this point?
I think and I'm hopeful that Maharashtra will take the lead. The reason is that under the Maharashtra Housing and Regulation Act, there has been some work done. There were rules expected from 2012 under that act. And I believe that if somebody has some sort of I would say that back office ready on this, it will have to be state of Maharashtra, because there is a very organized construction activity in the state, and this industry requires an immediate working on the regulations, and Maharashtra will be fit to start with it and probably take the lead.
All right, gentlemen, many thanks for joining us on the show to talk about the fact that we are likely to have the RERA bill or portions of it gazetted and notified on the 1st of May. That's what the Urban Development Minister has said exclusively to Magic Bricks now. Krishna, great move. Again, it is time to celebrate for home buyers. This is a sea change. This will change the way we buy homes. This will change the way we do the research before we buy homes. It's a massive, massive move.
Absolutely, and what a time for it to happen. Absolutely. And on that note, it's time for us to slip into a short breather over here. But still ahead, Unitech's managing directors Ajay Chandra and Sanjay Chandra face a 3-year jail term over project delays. The sentence comes after the company defied the Chandigarh State Forum's orders to compensate buyers in its project Uni World Homes. We'll get you more details in just a couple of minutes. Keep it with Magic Bricks now. Imprisonment and fine. Our correspondent Deepa Rana gets us more details.
A Chandigarh State Commission Redressal Forum has issued non-bailable warrant against the managing directors of Unitech after the company defied its earlier order to refund an amount of over 49 lakh rupees, 3 lakh compensation and 50,000 litigation fee over a period of 2 months to the complainants Varun Bakshi and his wife. The couple had booked a flat in Unitech's project Uniworld Homes, and after they were not given possession of their flats, the couple decided to move to the Chandigarh Redressal Forum. Now the forum has also imposed a penalty of 10,000 on the Unitech directors and non-bailable warrant returnable till May 30, which means that the directors have time till May 30 to either comply with the order or get a stay on the order from higher courts. Now, we also tried to reach out to Unitech for their response, and the company has refused to comment on the matter as the matter is sub judice before the court.
As Deepa was just saying, she did reach out to Unitech, but the company has refused to comment on the court order. Moving on to Mumbai, where home buyers have started raising their voice against project delays. Magic Bricks now spoke with a group of buyers who had booked homes in DB Realty's project Ozone at Dahisar. Home buyers were promised possession in 2012. 4 years on, they're still waiting for the keys to their homes. Disha Shah gets us this report.
The under construction properties that you see behind me is being developed by DB Realty for the past 7.5 years. Close to 3,500 families have booked flats in this particular project called DB Ozone in 2009. Buyers were promised possession in 2012, but the builder has not been able to hand over the projects yet to the buyers.
I booked my flat in August 2009. When I had come to book, we were told that okay, the possession will start somewhere around 2011-12. We assumed for the safe side we'll probably add 1 more year of buffer. But what happened is when we did our registration with the registrar, we of course didn't get a pre-copy of the registration copy. But what happened is the dates there were 2014 with a 1-year grace period, which was 2015 end. We still stuck to that, saying that okay, I mean, if this is a binded copy, we can't do anything. We've been following up with the builder on the same, but I mean, it's 2016 mid and we are nowhere close to our flats getting our keys.
What is the kind of response that you're getting from the builder? You have been having meetings, society meetings, you have been having meetings with the other flat owners, but what is the kind of response that you are getting from the developer?
Based on the possession date, which is 2014 mentioned, what builder has committed finally to us was March 31st, 2016. So we were working based on this timeline, and then close to March 31st, he said that no, I will not be able to meet the timeline, and because there is lack of fund and it will get delayed. So, for example, in the last 1 month or 1.5 months, we got 4 different dates. So March 31st, April 30th, May 31st, and June 30th.
We have booked flat in April 2009. They have promised us verbally they have told us that they will give possession in 2012. But at the we went to the register office, we got that it was 2014 December. 1 year grace. And now if we want to sell the flat, they are demanding 500 rupees as a transfer fees.
When did you book the flat with DB Realty, and what is the cost that you are bearing? I'm sure that you have to pay EMIs, and so what is the cost that you're bearing?
We've taken loans since 2009. We've been paying 23,000 as an EMI, plus we're staying on rent since 2009, which is last 7 years we're staying on rent. Every year we have to shift our flat. We're paying a rent of about 16 to 20,000 rupees every year. So this is like about 50,000 rupees we're spending only on EMI and rent in this period here.
Like her, many of us, like me and Annie, we are 3,500 families. Half of the people are on loan. We are paying the rent. We are paying on EMI. We are not getting the dates. We are just waiting for possession of our flat so that we can be free from the rent. We are paying around 50,000 plus for rent. I stayed Jogeshwari. When I booked, I was unmarried. Now I have a child of 4 years old. So you can see the situation where we are heading. So we just need possession at the quickest as possible.
Apart from this possession delay, at the time of booking, it was told the infrastructure and development charge is 70 rupees, around 70 rupees per square feet, and now they are demanding 1,000 rupees per square feet. Where to go, we don't know. If we don't do it now, they won't register our flat, and they can terminate, or they can do anything, or they are ready to pay 9% simple interest after delaying so much. The delay is also because of them also, and we are the sufferer. Now what to do, where to go, I don't know.
Now I have to pay 55 lakhs. So 25% extra we have to pay. So when I am discussing with the builder to justify those payments, he is saying you have to pay. So he is not having any legal justification for that. So this is a mentally harassment for us.
Lastly, what is the next plan of action as a home buyer? Because 7.5 years, it's a very long time since the project has been stuck. It's not been handed over. So as a home buyer, what is the next plan of action?
The next plan of action is few of us are going legal. Okay, and then few of us have been having meeting with the DB management to give us possession at the earliest. So finally I can say that we will request DB to give possession as early as possible because people are really suffering.
So clearly buyers here are agitated because the developer has not handed over flats to them. What they are asking for is one final date for delivery of possession. This is Disha Shah for Magic Bricks Now.
Magic Bricks Now also got in touch with DB Realty, but despite emails, calls and messages, the company did not respond to any queries. Now, meanwhile, relief coming in for home buyers and investors in Mantri Realty's projects. The Mumbai-based developer is embroiled in a legal battle with unsecured creditors and residents. We learn that the company has now drawn up plans to repay dues and resume construction. My colleague Aishwarya Paliwal is standing by with some exclusive details on that front. Take a look.
Mantri Realty is all set to repay all the unsecured creditors from whom they had taken money to boost their construction capacity. Now, the money in question is close to 200 crore rupees. Sources tell us that Mantri Realty has come out with a scheme that they'll present to all these creditors, and this scheme has details to the plans that Mantri Realty has going forward to repay them. Sources also tell us that the company wants to repay all these creditors within a span of the next 6 months to 1 year. Also, going forward, the company is looking at starting construction again in all its projects. Now, buyers had also filed complaint against the company and its directors for delayed possessions. Buyers have been waiting for the past 3 years to 4 years to get possession of the houses that they were promised. Now, since petitions have been filed against the company, once they satisfy the unsecured creditors, they are saying that they want to go ahead and construct each and every house that they had promised to their buyers.
And with that, it's a wrap here on this edition of the Property News of Magic Bricks. Now, thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magic Bricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.